Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video we actually almost complete this world. After this I only have a few more things to do and just the Mario Kart ride to finish, and then I think this world is mostly done. This video was supposed to go up like a week or two ago, but I'm gonna be a vendor at a local like arts and crafts marketplace thing, and I've been like super busy preparing different things for that I haven't had a ton of time to work on videos and stuff, but I'm pretty much almost done with a lot of the stuff. It's kind of just adding like little like extras and stuff that I want. I'm bringing like a lot of art prints and like canvas paintings. I've also found a lot of like wooden frames to paint, so I'm gonna bring those to sell as well. Right here, I'm just kind of building like a giant mountain area for the minecart ride to kind of go through after it comes out of the top part of the temple, and then it kind of loops back around back into the temple, and then it kind of comes out again outside where it goes over. I end up building a wall by Princess Peach's castle that the minecarts go over, and then the ride exit is like right next door to Peach's castle. I turned this little area into like an actual cave that the temple sort of comes out of, just to kind of transition from the inside of the temple to this more like outdoor part a little bit better. It took a little while to get the mountain to look exactly how I wanted it, because I wanted it to look as natural as possible without like clashing too much with some of the other worlds that I plan on building in this theme park. I didn't want this area to just be like a flat grass area, so I did build some tunnels and kind of had a lot of like levels to the area, as well as I added a lot of the different like animatronics that I have in other parts of this world to this area as well, so there's a lot of like movement and stuff to look at, so it's not just a bunch of like brown and green like Minecraft looking dirt blocks. As I went through and built this area, I also tried my best to keep like playing with the lighting and stuff and making sure that it's quite lit up well at night, that way so it's not too dark and you can see everything that's going on when you're on the ride. I wanted to clean up the opening of the cave a little bit, so I lit up this area with some lights, and then I built like a little sign to kind of go in that square area, and I built the little like mushrooms that are in the Mario games, and I just made the sign say power up, so it's kind of like, because it's like the first big hill you go down, so I said like power up because you're gonna like go down like fast, like you gotta power up or something, and then I just kind of placed a bunch of lights around it so you can see it well, and then I just started grabbing a lot of like the coin animatronics, and all like the different characters I made, and just kind of placing them around in different areas that I felt was kind of like bland. I even took the yellow block that I made and added that in some places because the lights kind of blink a little bit, so I thought that would kind of look cool at night. And then it's the like piranha looking plants, some of them just kind of sit in their tube, but some of them I put on the vertical animatronic piece so they would kind of move up and down, again just to add a little bit more movement and interest to the area. I also added a bunch of different Yoshi eggs, and I changed like the colors of the green circle so some of them would kind of stand out and it wouldn't be so much green, and then I kind of made it look like there were little like Yoshi egg nests kind of scattered around as well. And then I also built a big like 3D Yoshi to go in the area as well, and I kind of made him look like he was running, and I think I put him on the vertical animatronic piece so he kind of like bounces up and down as you sort of drive by him on the coaster. I think my 3D Yoshi came out cute. I think he looks a little bit more accurate than the 2D sign that I made that I put by the Yoshi gift shop elsewhere in this world. I think he just kind of looks a little bit more like himself, and his expression's a little bit cuter than the sign that I made. For the Minecart Madness ride, I still have to finish a few, like, small details in the queue. Like, I still have, this giant area in the priority queue that's just kind of like this open area. I think I might take the little Diddy Kong, like, minecart animatronic thing that I made, and I might just put that in there as like an interest piece, and then just kind of fill in with all the different like ruined pieces that I have for the rest of the temple, because I don't really know what else to put in there, and that's really the only thing I can think of that would look good there and kind of make sense. I also feel like that animatronic would look good in the priority queue, because in the regular entrance I have like the old man monkey animatronic that is in like the actual Minecart Madness ride, so I feel like the priority queue is kind of lacking compared to the regular entrance one, so it'll add a little bit more interest to that area, which will, you know, make it look a little bit cooler for the guests walking through that area. At this point, the Yoshi animatronic is pretty much done. I just ended up putting him in the area, and then I decided I wanted to put him on the vertical animatronic thing, but I ended up sizing him down a little bit in this area at one point because he was a little too big to see well from the coaster, so I ended up just making him a little bit smaller so you could see his face a little bit better from the actual like coaster track. I wanted this area to be a little bit closed off from the world that I have already built behind like the Mario world. It's sort of like the entry world that you first enter in when you enter the park, and so I wanted this area to be slightly closed off from that area, but I also wasn't against you being able to see the Mario world from that area, so I do build up the mountain I think a little bit more just to kind of give it a more closed off feel, but I don't have it like completely closed off from the other worlds because I do want you to kind of be able to like see them, because even in Epic Universe, even though all the worlds are kind of like away from each other and a little bit closed off from each other, if you're at certain points on like rides or certain points in the park, you can see certain parts of the worlds from other worlds, so I kind of wanted to get that like same effect here. And sort of same thing with the coasters. I like it when like they're kind of a little bit closed off, so there's a little bit of separation between the coasters and like the walking paths that the guests are on, but I do like to have little moments where when you're walking through the park, the guests can see like the coasters go by, because I think when like actual amusement parks do that, it kind of adds like, I don't know, hype for the rides, and it's just kind of cool to see like people go by on the rides every once in a while as you're walking around the park, but I do like to have them a little bit separate from the walkways. Here I used that Yoshi animatronic again, but I left him still instead of having him moving, and I kind of turned this area into like a little shopping seating area, so I just placed down like some different food and drink stalls, and then I placed down a bunch of like the tables that I have in the other parts of this world, but I just colored them more to be Yoshi themed, as well as like the vendor tables, and then I added some benches, but then I ended up adding an interest point that the guests can interact with, and it just plays fireworks that shoot up the letters that spell out Yoshi, and then some like other like sparkly fireworks and stuff, so when guests interact with it, the fireworks go off and it spells out Yoshi, and then there's like the Yoshi eggs everywhere. I also finally finished the landscaping around the Peach's castle. I only did like half of it and not the other side because I wasn't sure what I was going to put on this side yet, but now that I kind of had that area figured out and the pathing area figured out, I finally finished landscaping that and adding all of like the fencing and pillars and stuff, and then just more benches to kind of make it even with the other side of Princess Peach's castle. Other than the Mario Kart ride, I don't really have much more left of this world to build, so the next video will probably be like finishing up the Mario Kart world, and then it'll probably be a tour of the whole Mario world, and then I might put it in the same video depending on how long the video ends up, but then I'll probably do like the ride POVs and stuff, because there's only two like main like coaster rides in this world, which is the Mario Kart ride and the MINECART Madness ride. Here I'm building the different like vendor stalls, and I just used a lot of the same pieces that I used for the Yoshi gift shop I have on the other side. Like I literally was like copying and pasting like everything, and including the egg lights, just to kind of light up the area a little bit more and kind of keep with the theming. But I do like how this area came out. It tends to be a little on the calmer side because it is only like food and seating over here, but I do really like how it turned out. It's small, but it's still spacious enough to have a lot of movement, and I like the white and the green color scheme. I also took some of the like 3D stand-up signs from the different like vendors, and I just placed those on the pillars just to kind of add some more like visuals and to kind of make the area a little bit more busy and add to the different like signage that I have on the different like vendors. I also added some signs of like the different Mario characters that have green in them, like obviously Yoshi because it's a Yoshi area, but then also Luigi because the picture that I downloaded off of Google for him has a similar color scheme. And then it's just placing a lot of like animatronics in the area as well. And then I think I placed some benches and trash cans in that area too, just to kind of fill up some of the empty space. I built up this wall a little bit just to kind of keep it a little bit closed off from the other parts of the park that are sort of behind it. There were also some parts of the coaster that looked kind of awkward from like the path view, because there wasn't any like support beams, because a lot of them got covered up by like the blocks that I placed. So there were a few areas that I did add some extra like coaster supports just so the space looked a little less awkward. And then I also in this area covered up the brown pillar supports with green just to kind of help them blend into the area a little bit more. I also added some like rainbow-ish lighting to this tunnel here, but you can't really see it during the day. It's really only visible at night, and I made it on a trigger point like event where when the coaster hits a certain point they kind of light up one by one rather than all at once. Here I'm just taking the spotlight lighting and placing it in various places underneath the grass blocks just to kind of light up some areas a little bit more so you can see them and they're not like super dark. I also placed some in the corner here by MINECART Madness, and I angled one upwards to kind of point at the sign a little bit more because that corner is kind of dark, so I wanted to place more lighting all around that area as well as in the temple. And then I also placed some by the Yoshi ride stairs because that area was kind of dark as well. I built a little like prototype minecart that I wanted to put on the coaster, and I did end up kind of tweaking it a little bit, but that was sort of the coaster car that I had designed for the MINECART Madness ride. I didn't film myself like putting it on the track. For some of the roofing on the temple, I added a lot of the same like resort sort of like straw hay roofing that I did to some of the vendor stalls like on the ground by the MINECART Madness ride, just to kind of break up the stone a little bit and kind of give it some more interest, so it kind of adds a bit of contrast compared to the stone. After I finish the Mario world, I think the next world I'm going to build will be a Spyro-themed world, and I think the main area of that world is going to be sort of the area that the dragons live in that you kind of usually like start out in when you first start playing Spyro. And I have some ideas for like a main coaster that I want to build that will actually have like a story themed around Spyro with like animatronics, like sort of like a ride that you maybe would see at like Disney where they kind of have the Disney characters and you go through a little story while on the coaster. I'm not 100% sure yet, but the area might include a couple of different like Spyro levels, but if not, it'll definitely be the area that the dragons live in. And I think the entry for the world, it's gonna be right after you go through that tunnel. I think I'm gonna build like a portal that you sort of see in the Spyro games where you go through the portal and that's what takes you to all the different like levels and stuff, so that'll probably be like the main entry point into the world. Here I'm building the Diddy Kong animatronic, and I actually have this at one point on the ride where as you go down a hill like back into the tunnels of the temple, he sort of pops out of another tunnel and his cart is kind of like, it looks like it's gonna crash into yours, which is actually a reference to the actual Minecart Madness ride, because there's a point on that ride where Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong are on like a minecart and it kind of looks like they're gonna crash with you, but you end up like turning down a hill and going back into like the temple and stuff. So I built that and I put that there, but I'm probably also going to put him in the priority queue as like a little decoration piece just to kind of make that area a little bit more interesting, because I don't really have many decorations in the priority queue, but I have quite a bit in the like normal entry line, so just to kind of keep it a bit more interesting, I think I might also just copy and paste him and put him in there. He came out a little scary looking, especially in the face, but it kind of fits the vibe of the part of the ride that he's in where he looks like he's gonna crash into you, so I guess it's fitting. Although this ride isn't finished, I did start the queue and I finished the main part of the queue as well as the like go-karts themselves. I ended up building the like main coaster station of the queue to look like Princess Peach's castle to kind of fit that aesthetic, so you're gonna kind of start in that aesthetic and then I might have it go into like the Rainbow Road look, as well as just kind of going around like sort of like the outdoor part of the Minecart Madness ride where you're just out in the open with like all the greenery and stuff and then like all the animatronics and stuff. But I made this part look like you are inside Peach's castle, and then I have like the castle gates sort of by the entrance and the exit of the track, and I have a trigger point set where when the cars like go there, the gate opens up. For this part, I basically just copy and pasted all of the pieces over from Princess Peach's castle over to here and just kind of added a few like new pieces here or there, like greenery and bushes and stuff. I ended up adding this like stone brick floor because I thought it made the area look a bit more nicer and more finished than just having the plain like black gray concrete. I also added these fences to kind of like give a clear area of where like the entrance and exit is. I'm not sure if like the guests will sort of phase through the fence a little bit to get to the cars, but I didn't really care too much about that. I kind of cared more about it like looking nice, so I figured even if the guests kind of phase through the fencing, I didn't really care about that because I liked the way it looked, having sort of like just one path as the entrance and one path as the exit into the gift shop. In this area, I also added some windows, and then I put pink and yellow curtains on them because they matched like pizzas. They match Peach's colors, and it just kind of took up a lot of the wall space in a nice way, but it kind of fit that elegant vibe that I was going for. A lot of what I did on one side of the coaster station, I just kind of copy and pasted and put it on the other side of the coaster station just to keep the decorations like sort of even and uniform, but also just kind of keeping it simple. I also lined this like outer area of the track where the cars don't drive on this area, but it was kind of poking out from the walls and stuff, so I just took the stones that I had been using to create like the stone edging for like the bushes and stuff out by the castle, and I just used those to kind of cover that up, and then I did end up filling those areas in with some greenery and bushes just to kind of break up all of like the castle colors and the stones, and I think it makes it look a little bit more whimsical, which is kind of what I think of when I think of like Mario and the Princess Peach aesthetic. I basically did the same exact thing on the other side of this track. It just looks like slightly different because of the shaping, but I use all the same techniques. I didn't put bushes on the other side, but I used the same stone to kind of act as like a trim for the walls, just to kind of hide any of the like go-kart track that might be kind of poking out at the bottom of the walls. I also made like a big archway, but I kind of made it kind of big because I didn't want it to cover up the little Mario Kart guy that I made with his little stop sign, so I kind of made it tall and a bit wide, that way so when you're in the coaster station you can see him pretty clearly. And here I only put this roofing over the actual go-karts, but as far as like the middle part, I ended up building that up much taller because again I didn't want it to cover up the view you get of the little like Mario Kart guy, so I just put some trim on it and like copy and pasted the archway and just put it on the opposite side, and then where the white trim is I just filled that up with some more of these limestone walls, so it just kind of makes the area a bit taller. I also took a lot of these same like flowers that I had used in other places around Princess Peach's castle to kind of fill in some of the empty wall space and add some more greenery, but then it also added some more color because the flowers have a little bit of pink in them, which match the curtains that I put up on the windows. For the carts, I just kind of added a little like back piece to the car, and then I also added some headlights on just the back, and then I added the letter M, you know, for Mario Kart. I added a lot of spotlights for lighting, but in this area I did also add some chandeliers, just kind of more of like a decoration piece because I find the chandeliers don't really give off that much light, so they're kind of just more of like a decoration piece to fit the castle aesthetic. And then I filled up the empty walls up top just with some flowers because I didn't think more windows would look good, so I thought the flowers would look a little bit better. I set this ride, it's not open yet, but I set this ride to only have one lap, that way so I know the gates would work correctly, but the track itself is quite big, so I felt like just having one lap would kind of keep like the actual wait time of the ride down a little bit more rather than I think doing like the 2 laps, which is what I think the ride is set to automatically. I didn't know what to put on this wall, but I didn't want to leave it bare, so I just kind of put pillars, and then on like every other wall was just a window and then the little like flower light just to kind of add a little bit more decoration so it wasn't plain, because the other wall had like the bushes on it, so I didn't want to leave it plain because it just looked a little bit boring, so I just added the windows and the lights to it. I also never finished the exit part of the minecart madness. When you get off the ride, you actually don't exit in the temple, you exit by Princess Peach's castle, kind of off to the side, so I just kind of built it to look like an extension of Peach's castle, so it's just a lot of the same stone pieces and roof pieces. And then in this area I added a photo booth where you can buy your pictures from this ride. I added a guest information service, which at first was the photos, but I switched the layout a little bit. So in this video I don't think I changed it to the information booth, but I end up changing it to the information booth. There's just some like bathrooms in it as well, and then just some like seating and stuff. And then it also exits out into a gift shop that I kind of also use like the Princess Peach aesthetic with a lot of pink. And then in the gift shop, just for some drinks and stuff, I put like a Cosmic Cow milkshake. I also wanted to redo the entryway. For the original entryway, I had used some pieces from the Frontier Workshop that like other people had made, and I'll list who they were, but I wanted to delete that and make like my own entryway because I wanted to, you know, have it be original and not take other people's ideas and stuff. So I just kind of made it the same aesthetic as like the outdoor parts of the ride, with just using a lot of the green blocks. And I'm just gonna put like, you know, the animatronics that I have built all over it. So I just kind of built up this mountain, and then the mountain is gonna kind of go into the Princess Peach Castle area and kind of like fill out that area with some more of like the green blocks and animatronics. And then I just used the Mario Kart sign I made and then just kind of filled in Super and World around the Mario to kind of make my own sign for this world. But I kept the tubing effect, so it looks like you're going into the tube, and when you are done going through it, you obviously exit through Princess Peach's castle. I also finished the roofing of the main part of Princess Peach's castle here. I just used, I think they're from the Viking theme, that sort of like scalloped tile roofing in the same hot pink that I used for the other parts of the castle. And then where the roofing meets the end part of the MINECART Madness ride, which is that sort of like straight part, I just turned it into like a castle wall. So again, using a lot of the same like stone wall pieces and lighting. I basically just, everything's like copy and pasted from the other parts of Princess Peach's castle. On the wall, I also used these castle pieces just to kind of add a little bit of interest and texture to the wall, and obviously it fits the theme being a castle. I think it just looks a lot better having that rather than just being like a flat end to the wall. I think it just adds a unique shape overall to the wall, which I like. I also had to be careful here with the wall because the tube entrance is like right underneath it, so I just had to make sure that none of my pillars and none of the like wall pieces went into the tubing, so it would leave the pathway clear. I also used a lot of the green blocks to also sort of like transition from the outdoor area to Princess Peach's castle by just kind of building them up together. I also built more green blocks around where the ride goes into the exit station and kind of made that like another little outdoor area that has like all the animatronics and stuff, but you can actually see into that area from the guest pathway, which is kind of cool. So I put a like window area there, and I put the like interactive event points where the guests can sort of like look like they're looking in and like admiring all the animatronics that I put in that little area. In this awkward space here in between the castle and the wall and the exit station, this is where I'm building that little like outdoor area. So I kind of just have it go down a little bit of like a hill onto the green, and then I kind of build a little bit of a wall around it again just to kind of close it off from the other worlds that I'm going to be having. And then I just placed a lot of the different animatronics around on this little like mountain area that I made to just kind of fill up the space a bit more and give some interest on anyone who's on the ride, but also anyone who is like looking at this area can kind of look at the animatronics from that little pathway here where I'm kind of building this like little window. Again, I just added a lot of the same like pillars and like fencing pieces, and I ended up putting a like pink and lighter pink like awning over this area just to kind of make it look a little bit more like a window. And I think I ended up using the same awning on the gift shop just because I thought it looked quite pretty and it fit the vibes well. And then I just added a lot of those gold lanterns that I have around this area for some lighting, and then I put like 2 or 3 of those event points here just kind of in the openings between the pillars where people can, the guests can look at all the different animatronics going on here. So I picked a few different ones that they can look at. I think one of them looks at like the Thwomp animatronic, some of them look at the coins, I think one of them looks at like one of the caterpillars that I put in this area. So you have the people, on the ride obviously going by, but it also looks kind of cool seeing the guests like stop there for a little bit to watch like the coaster go by and like all the animatronics and stuff. Once I've gotten to this point in this world, decorating it's kind of easy because it is just a lot of copying and pasting like all the different stuff that I already have and placing it in just various different like configurations around the park. So a lot of the building here kind of went a lot quicker than some of the other parts of like this little series of the Mario world because I didn't have to like build everything from scratch. I could just like copy and paste everything. Same with the coaster station, a lot of the pieces are just copy and pasted from the other parts of Princess Peach's castle. I think I still have to complete some of the towers on it, but it's mostly just like the little details that I have to work on. I have most of like the basic structure done. It's just a lot of like the pillars and windows and roofing pieces and stuff like that that I have to still do. Around here is where I started working on the little shopping center by the exit, so I just placed a bathroom, and where I moved the pictures, I ended up building that out as an information, like a guest information booth, and I took the photos and I actually just put it on the opposite side of where the information booth is because I liked that layout a little bit better. I also connected this little shopping center to that sort of main path, so you don't have to get to it just by going through the gift shop or exiting the ride. You can get to it from the main area, and I feel like it just kind of makes the flow of the area a little bit better because then you don't have tons of groups of people trying to go through the same walkways. There's kind of different walkways that just keeps the flow of traffic a little bit better in this area where the pathing is like kind of tight. The area after you come onto the exit is mostly indoors as it leads into the gift shop, and I made a little like archway to kind of enter in this like more closed off indoor area, and I also wanted to put a decent amount of benches and seating in this area as well, just to kind of give guests an area to sort of like relax if they wanted to. That's a little bit calmer than some of the more like outdoor areas of the park. This is where I placed the actual photo booth, that is the photo booth you use for the Minecart Madness ride. I liked it being on the left side of the exit for some reason better than where I had it originally, so the other photo booth I end up at some point just turning into the information area. I don't think I switch it out in this video, but I did end up switching it out with the information vendor. to fill up the wall space again, I just copy and pasted a lot of like the windows and pillars and stuff because I wanted it to look decorated, but I didn't want it to be too busy, so I kept a lot of the decorations in this area a little bit more on the simpler side because I wanted the main focus of this little like shopping indoor seating area to be the window with like all the animatronics, and so I didn't want too many like decoration pieces to really like take away from that. I ended up moving the merch store cashiers over to another wall, and I ended up putting a Cosmic Cow milkshake booth in that corner there, just to kind of add some more like food options for the guests. And then I felt like moving the cash registers over to the other wall that I put them on, I think just kind of made the flow of the store a little bit better, and it felt a little less divided because they were kind of on like opposite halves of the opening, whereas now everything's kind of on the same side. I of course had to make all of the cashiers in the Princess Peach area wear pink shirts, as well as make all the shelving pink because I felt it was fitting. And then for that like middle wall piece, I just kind of made this little like arch in the middle just to kind of break up the space, and I put some fairy lights on it as well as some of these plants, and then I also put a little coin animatronic on it as well as lighting for obviously to, you know, light up the dark space, but also add a little bit of movement in the space other than it just being like a bunch of shelves with merchandise. It kind of adds that, you know, whimsical effect to it that I want it to have like the rest of the Mario world. I also placed the same stone flooring that I have in the exit of the Minecart Madness ride, as well as the coaster station for the Mario Kart ride in the merchandise area, as well as that little hallway with the window. I just felt like it kind of made it look a little cleaner, and I liked the differentiation between the outdoor pathway and this sort of like indoor space. I thought it looked a little bit nicer. I made the roofing in this area slightly lower than the actual hallway just because I felt like the lighting looks a little bit better in a smaller space, because when I made the ceilings like too big, sometimes the area just looks a little too dark. So I made the hallway that leads to the merchandise area, the ceiling a little bit taller, but in the actual merchandise store, just to kind of fill up the empty space, I made the ceiling a little bit shorter because I felt like it just fit the space a little bit better. I didn't want this area to be as moody as like the temple was, so I made sure to put like a lot of lighting around and different like spotlights and stuff around, because I want it to be very bright and whimsical rather than dark and moody like the temple is. I also put a picture of Princess Peach up that I had in the castle around here for some decorations, and just kind of copying all of like the lights and stuff and the trash cans and placing various windows everywhere just to kind of eat up some of the empty space and make it feel a little more decorated and lively. I roofed this area using the same pieces that I had used for the main castle part, as I'm going to be using for this entire building, as well as the towers I have on the other side. So I just copy and pasted a lot of the pieces over again and just kind of made a little roofing area. To sort of hide this world a little bit from some of the other worlds, I might also be adding a lot of like trees and greenery and stuff around, not just this world, but the all of the worlds once I'm kind of done with them, just to kind of add a little bit of interest to some of the space between the different worlds that aren't really filled with anything or that I don't really plan on building anything in, just to kind of again like close it off a little bit, but just also add some interest so it's not just like this big open plain green field around the parts of the park that don't really have anything. I'll probably also be adding some like ponds and like water features around certain areas because I do plan on using some water features elsewhere.